Nowadays, you hear the word bullying a lot. It is all over the media and is blamed on everything from suicide to drug use to school violence. So understandably, parents worry about bullying a lot, whether it is being upset that their kids are bullied or worrying that their child may be bullying others. And military parents may worry more than non-military parents. Recent research suggests that children of military parents experience slightly higher rates of bullying than their peers, and that this risk increases as the number of deployments increases. Well, today, we are going to talk about what is bullying, why it happens, and what you can do if you think your child is being bullied. It's really easy to get upset when you hear that a kid or group of kids have been mean to your child. I know, I'm also a mom, and I've been there. And anytime children are engaging in aggressive behavior that hurts someone else, something should be done. However, bullying is more than just one kid being mean to another kid. When researchers talk about bullying, they are referring to a pattern of repeated aggression directed at a target over a long period of time. We are talking months and sometimes even years. Furthermore, bullying can't just happen between any two kids. The bully or bullies must have power that the victim doesn't have. This power often comes in the form of physical strength, popularity, or cognitive skills. That's why many children who are bullied are socially isolated, are racial, ethnic, or religious minorities, are LGBTQ, or have significant cognitive deficits. And while our classic media portrayals of bullying include one kid physically hurting a smaller peer or taking someone's lunch money, bullying can include all different forms of aggression, including calling someone names, spreading rumors about someone, destroying their property, sending mean text about someone, and getting a group of kids not to play or hang out with somebody. Not understanding this power differential can lead to some huge misunderstandings about bullying. For example, I often have people tell me that bullying is no big deal because when they were young, someone started to bully them and they were able to easily stand up for themselves. That's great for them, but they weren't really bullied because they never got to the point where kids were aggressing against them over a long period of time. Kids who are bullied often can't stand up for themselves because they lack some form of power that would help them out of the situation they are in. Moreover, because children are often bullied because of aspects about themselves that they shouldn't be asked to change or can't change, we shouldn't be putting the onus of stopping the bullying on the child being bullied. Moreover, misunderstandings about bullying can lead to adults thinking that bullying is just a normal part of growing up. It's not. Kids who experience bullying over an extensive period of time, researchers refer to this as peer victimization, are at risk for increased behavioral and emotional difficulties. Researchers have been conducting studies on peer victimization for decades, and what we've learned is that children who experience peer victimization are at greater risk for depression, anxiety, loneliness, aggression, delinquency, and mental health problems, even into adulthood. That's not to say that all children who experience peer victimization show problems as they get older, but being bullied does place children at greater risk for these problems, and therefore is something we should be concerned about. So why does bullying happen? We often think that kids bully because they have low self-esteem or are really just lonely. However, what we now know is that bullies often are quite the opposite, especially as kids get older. Rather than having low self-esteem and being socially alone, they are often quite popular and have surprisingly high self-esteem. Bullying often occurs as children try to have power and prestige among their peers. Indeed, it is often youth who are quite popular who are the ones engaging in bullying. It helps them maintain their place in the social hierarchy, often by showing their dominance over weaker peers. Indeed, one of the reasons bullying can hurt so much is that it comes from peers that kids respect or wish to have as friends. Which brings us to the big question: what to do if your child is being bullied? Unfortunately, the simple answers we like to give just don't work. For example, lots of people say, just fight back. However, research consistently shows that among children who are repeatedly bullied, fighting back does not help. Indeed, research shows that kids who are bullied and report retaliating are at greater risk for continued bullying, aggressive behavior, and depression than those bullied kids who do not retaliate. Another common piece of advice is to tell children who are being bullied to just walk away and avoid the bullying peers. This is actually one of the most widely reported strategies by children and youth. The problem is that so far there is no evidence that this tactic prevents further bullying, and there is even some evidence that it leads to further victimization. Even kids themselves report that this strategy is ineffective. So what should you do if you find out that your child is being bullied? First and foremost, do not dismiss it or act like it is no big deal. We have evidence that such reactions lead to more emotional distress among children. What may seem unimportant from an adult's perspective can be highly important in the life of a child or adolescent. It is also important to stay calm. One of the most effective strategies children can use when bullying is problem solving. Modeling good problem-solving behaviors is important. Most likely, the bullying is occurring not where you are around, but in other locations, such as school, the bus, or even online. If the bullying is occurring at school, talking to school personnel is important, but it's important to approach the school with the goal of being constructive. Yelling and blaming teachers and principals puts them on the defensive. You want them to see you as a partner in figuring out what is going on and how to fix the problem. Calmly explain what your child told you, ask what the school already knows about the situation, and listen rather than argue. Now here's the piece of advice that I give that may ruffle some feathers, but hear me out. A good question to ask is my child doing anything to contribute to the problem? Now let me be clear. There is never an excuse for a child to be bullied. However, children and adolescents are still in the process of learning important social skills. Sometimes that lack of social skills contributes to the power imbalance that, in turn, contributes to the bullying. This may be an opportunity to help your child learn important social skills. However, this should be done without blaming your child for the bullying. Again, there is never an excuse for children or adolescents to bully. I'll give an example from my own experience with my son and bullying. We found out when he was in kindergarten that a former friend of his had started pushing him and not letting him play with him and some of the other boys. This had been going on for a while and was getting increasingly worse. When I approached the school about it, I made it very clear that the boy's behavior needed to end. But I also asked if my son was doing anything that might be adding to the problem. The school informed me that often my son would stand too close to the other boys, invading their space. The school took a very firm approach with the boy who was doing the bullying, including getting his parents involved. At the same time, we talked and worked with our son as to what is a comfortable distance when standing near others. An important point of this story is that we also decided that we wanted the ultimate goal to be to repair our son's relationship with the other boy. We also asked the school to make that clear to the boy's parents. Our goal was not to see the boy be punished, but rather to restore the friendship. We believe this helped us form a partnership with the boy's parents rather than putting the parents on the defensive. It also made the parents more motivated to get their son to stop bullying our son. Now, part of the reason this worked was that the boys were still quite young. As kids get older, relationship repair may not be the ultimate goal. It is still best to approach the school, and if you feel they will be receptive, the other parents, in a constructive manner. Talk to the school about potential ways of separating your child from the children who are doing the bullying as much as possible. However, it should be the other children, not yours, who have to move. This can be particularly effective if your child has one or more friends who he or she can be seated with, especially in the lunchroom or on the bus. Finally, An important thing to remember is that your support makes a huge difference as you and your child work together to prevent further bullying, and you and all adults involved work to end the harassment. It is also important to remember that bullying is not one incident. If your child has been the victim of repeated aggression from peers, it is important to work with the school on long-term plans to make sure that the bullying, once stopped, does not start again, and that your child has ample opportunity to engage with peers who are friendly and supportive.